Bitcoin's motherfucking punk rock, bitch, bro. What? My dog got worried.
What the hell are you doing?
To me, it's almost like a mixture of progressive rock, the skill and the genius of master musicians, but with the attitude of punk rock.
Because the Sex Pistols was going to be the absolute end of rock and roll, which I thought it was. Unfortunately, the majority of the public, being the senile animals that they are, got that wrong.
And that's where the Mohawk sort of thing comes from, because essentially what you have as the head, the half head, is the target symbol. And it's how I got to learn that the origin meaning of the word sin is to miss the mark. So essentially it's not to say that you've sinned is not so preachy in a way. It's just to say that if you want to get it right, it's up to you. But if you want to hit your target, you need to correct your aim. You need to understand where it comes from. There was a variety of really different, interesting influences. That I just went to Miami a couple of times, and I was just in Las Vegas for another conference. And what's self-evident about America, these towering bank buildings and the empire feel, this exuberant power that is in the cityscape after cityscape. How someone like me, who comes from a small nation of 5 million people, and we have very open plains in a way, what it's like to be in front of a Wells Fargo building that just like seems to never end in the sky. And I suppose in one way that's how we feel about the banking system as well. It's that it's a necessary evil. It's something that sort of has carte blanche to do whatever it wants, and we're just gonna have to tolerate it. And like Andreas Antonopoulos says, since 2008, when Bitcoin hits the scene, that's no longer the case. And I remember one of the first films that I ever saw that was about the banking system, or debt as a concept, or, you know, turning the bad to the good and upside down in a certain kind of way, was the film Fight Club.
This is the best film.
I thank you, Susan.
It was beautiful. We were selling rich women their own fat asses back to them.
And me remembering where this whole thing originates for me.
To make soap, first we render fat. The salt balance has to be just right, so the best fat for making soap comes from humans.
Richest, creamiest fat in the world. The fat of the land.
And the end scene.
The plan is to blow up the headquarters of these credit card companies and the TRW building.
Why these buildings? Why credit card companies?
If you erase the debt record, then we all go back to zero.
When Tyler Durden and his crew pretty much obliterate all of these buildings.
Everything's gonna be fine.
You met me at a very strange time in my life.
Ends up being a little bit like the Trojan horse of Bitcoin. It's much more than that. It's much more beautiful than that. But it's a little bit indicative of the attitude of the whole Bitcoin world towards the banking system.
Around 2011, I started following the Ron Paul campaign for president, because that's where the libertarian movement started, getting some notoriety. Following the Ron Paul campaign wasn't easy because he wasn't getting a lot of airtime on traditional media. So I had to watch it on RT. Watching it on RT, it got me watching shows like Max Kaiser, where he introduced Bitcoin to me in those early 2011 days. I personally didn't get involved in the Bitcoin space until 2013. That's when I went out and bought my first Satoshi, when I watched the events of Cyprus unfold, where the government just confiscated other people's money. And that's when I realized that the most important property of Bitcoin was its unconfiscatability feature.
The pain is already being felt at this family bakery near Larnaca on the southern coast of Cyprus.
How much money did the family have in the banks here?
The family had in the company around 2 million euro.
2 million euro?
Yes.
Who was that with?
With Laiki Bank.
Laiki Bank, the bank that's gone to the wall,
Yes.
basically.
Unfortunately, yes. And we can't get anything from our accounts. Everything is blocked.
These times where people try and quite often portray themselves as very black and white or good or bad, it's quite refreshing to see how life really is, which is a complicated type of amalgam of a variety of things. And I think this was the origin inspiration for this Unconfiscatable Conference commission.
What is this?
This is a chemical burn.
It's the greatest moment of your life, man, and you're off somewhere missing. I am not.
If you learn these skills or you get awareness or you have love, they're very difficult to take away from you, and that is the mythology of Bitcoin, of course. But in one way, what it started feeling like when I started playing about with these words, they sounded very preachy, they sounded very choir boy type of thing, and it needed to be mixtured in with some brutality, some life, some price, some stake you have to pay in order to really realize what these words mean. So they're not just pretty little things put in an art piece, but they come from a place of understanding. And one part of it is also the be pioneer spirit that is put there in Vegas ornaments and these neon lights, and the steakhouse has been deliberately misspelt into steakhouse, which is that when you have such high stakes, billions upon billions of dollars with these different cryptocurrencies and forks, we lose our way to greed and all of these sort of playing these hands that are not really our best selves.
Okay, race.
Ray's coming.
I'm sorry, call.
What? Freighter shows the full house.
Yeah, no, I know. I heard about this before the tournament started.
So ugly, I can tell you.
Ugly. Move was so dirty, feel like I need a shower.
I heard about it.
So in one way, these poker cards that are there have these almost like an ancient wisdom papyrus scroll feel to it from Egypt, and they actually have some figures hidden.
There's a lot of similarities between poker and trading. A lot of it is probability and statistics, the odds of something happening, and the biggest one being patience. If you are a good poker player, you have to be patient, because if you're not patient, you're not going to last as a poker player for very long.
But they're like these towering buildings of Vegas, and they're hard to climb, they're hard to achieve, but once you have that as a royal flush, it's like a calling card that is very different to the world. And that's something that I definitely wanted in there.
When you think about the creation of money, you think about places like this, or this. But what if money was created here, in a Brooklyn loft, by a group of young entrepreneurs and data nerds?
She's a monster! You have every reason to live! She's infectious human waste! Good luck trying to save her!
And it's this mentality, and most people that go into government have that mentality as well, that I will do a better job saving people, but in order for me to save people, I need money. And if I don't have the money to spend it because I've earned it in the past, I have to invent it. A lot of people feel that, well, wait a minute, the government of every country has the ability to print money and they don't do a good job. I think I can do a better job, so I should be able to print money as well. And my view on that is, I mean, good luck. We recently, we have Venezuela, we have the government of Venezuela in hyperinflation, the government of Zimbabwe, hyperinflation. Those are the two biggest, most recent incidents of hyperinflation. And my answer is, and the people that are running the finances of those countries probably have PhDs in economics.
ICOs have been around since 2013. I think the very first one was something called Mastercoin. There were ICOs, or the equivalents, I think they called them token sales back then, back in 2014. None of them have really delivered anything. And I expect most of the projects, if they deliver anything at all, will be completely useless.
I don't see them as survivable. It doesn't take much effort to 51% attack and destroy some of these altcoins, okay? They're just printing money for themselves. And I feel that they're breaking all kinds of financial laws and regulations that were in place to prevent these things from happening.
Oh, Christ.
Now what are you doing?
I'm stopping this.
Why? Greatest thing you've ever done, man.
Nah, I can't let this happen.
What will they do with all that money?
There's a cowboy that is herding the cow and the stake towards the right kind of way.
It's of course also a nod towards the carnivory dinner happening at the conference on the 21st of February, where many of the major figures from Max Kaiser to Therese Mayer will be feasting and having conversations with you.
I suppose, all the legends that are at this Unconfiscatable conference, they are hardcore Bitcoiners, BTC, but they also are some of the OGs of the space, and they've seen the ups and downs. They've seen people lose their money in a variety of altcoins, and their faith is in this cryptocurrency, and that becoming the only cryptocurrency that is going to survive all the tumultuous times that are going to be in front of us. So there's an element of our culture that feels definitely like it's upside down, and you'll feel it from the episodes of Eric Weinstein's The Portal podcast and his disc concept, as well as Akira the Dawn.
The most punk rock thing you can do is get married and have a child. Take your life seriously, be nice, and be civil.
So what is punk rock and what is virtue is something that is in a strange way blended into this whole idea of Sin City and the idea of how to miss the mark. Because you have to understand and study enough and see beyond your cultural illusions for you to even know what the target is, so you don't miss it. And it doesn't come in a convenient package of where you get to just say this is right or this is wrong if you haven't really dug inside of some of those issues.
What did you want to be, Raymond K. Hessel?
Veterinarian, too much school.
Would you rather be dead?
No.
I'm keeping your license. Gonna check in on you. I know where you live. If you're not on your way to becoming a veterinarian in 6 weeks, you will be dead.